Good evening and welcome to TUC Half Hour, the official weekly television program of the Trade Union Congress of Nigeria. I am your host, Ave Michael. Compliments of the season to you. Today we continue with this our comprehensive three-part series with the TUC President. In this installment, we'll look ahead to 2025, discussing projections and key issues that would shape our nation's future. We'll explore the ongoing efforts for minimum wage compliance across the states, the critical need for electoral reforms, and the pursuit of local government autonomy. But before we delve into this conversation, let us reveal our trivia question for the week. Kindly stay till the end of the episode to find the answer out. TUC Half Hour continues after the break.
Comrade Engineer Festus Osifo is the president of the Trade Union Congress of Nigeria and also doubles as the president of the Petroleum and Natural Gas Senior Staff Association of Nigeria, PENGASEN. Our guest holds a bachelor's degree in mechanical and manufacturing engineering from the University of Portsmouth in United Kingdom with a first-class honors. He is an alumnus of Herod Watts University, Edinburgh, Scotland, where he bagged his master's degree in petroleum engineering. In 2022, he obtained an MBA from the Lagos Business School, Lagos, Nigeria. He holds a certificate in advanced negotiation, industrial relations, and conflict resolution from Harvard University, Cambridge, Massachusetts, USA. Comrade Festus Osifo has spent about 2 decades working in the oil and gas industry in a sterling career spanning Schlumberger Nigeria Limited and Total Energies Exploration and Production Nigeria Limited. He has served on several boards, both in public and private sector. Through his 2 NGOs, Festus Osifo Foundation and Save Our Children Education Initiative, Comrade Festus Osifo has transcended trade unionism to intervening in humanity, mentorship, and leadership development. Our guest is a registered engineer with the Council of Registered Engineers of Nigeria, a member of Nigerian Society of Engineers and Society of Petroleum Engineers.
Elections is one thing we're yet to get, especially recently with the past 2 months, the state government elections. It's been an interesting turn of events. So what role do you see the TUC playing in free, fair, and credible elections?
Yes, so it's advocacy. We have to also opt in that area. We have to have advocates much more because we have seen that the political class, they are all bounded by their greeds. You just talked about, we're talking about elections now. Mm-hmm. Go and check the election conducted by all the political parties, be it ABGA, be it APC, be it Labour Party, be it PDP. When the governors are from any of these parties, or even NNPP, you'll see that they win literally everything, which we knew clearly that this is not possible. So for us, we want to, we will partner with the civil societies and we will increase our advocacy and we'll mount the necessary pressure to ensure that there is electoral reforms. When we have good electoral reforms, that will bring about, for us, primarily where we are today, transmission of results from the polling unit to the ward, to the local government, to the state government, to the state and to the federal. That will bring about some level of transparency. So for us, we will continuously sensitize our members. We will continuously educate our members and let them understand that there is power in the ballot and that the future of Nigeria will be determined using the ballot. That we must do everything possible to ensure that our election is free, fair, and transparent, because that is what will bring about the necessary development. When politicians know that the people truly are the ones that will determine their fate at the polls. So we would engage in much more political education. We will partner with civil society and mount the advocacy for a better electoral act that we imbibe technology.
Yes, there is power in the ballot. So let's talk about local government autonomy. How important is this for the improvement of worker conditions at the grassroots level?
Yes, today we are quite aware of what has been happening across local governments. You know, in 1999, local governments, they were relatively doing well. You could see local government tying roads, you could see local government building markets, you see local government doing some basic functions that the Constitution donates to them in the residual list. But today, most of the governors, they've emasculated the local government, the funds comes in there, they just give them some stipends just to do some basic things. So that's why we're quite excited with the pronouncement of Supreme Court on how the administration of local government should be, most especially when it comes to the funding. So we're quite excited, we're quite happy about that. But we've also seen some states, intelligent professors leading some states here and there. They are trying to find a way to circumvent what the Supreme Court has donated to the country. That interpretation of that local government provisions as sent to the Supreme Court by the Attorney General of the Federation. So for us, we believe that the local government must be autonomous. The funds of local government must go directly to the local government. But when the funds go to the local government and the local government administers such funds, the local government on its own as well, the local government chairman, the vice chairman, and the councillors, they should also be held accountable so that when they are getting more money today, that money should be used for developmental purposes, and that money should not be siphoned in any way. So yes, local government autonomy is good. Let them have access to their funds, but that fund should also be monitored so that the funds will not also be diverted, because development is local. You must go back to the grassroots to start development. When you go to most local governments, most especially the ones that are outside the state capitals, you don't even have roads. You have some roads that you can't even pass through. Workers working in some primary schools, secondary schools, some local government, they have to use bicycle to pass through the path because there's no road that will lead them to their place of work. So imagine that it's very difficult for you to get to your place of work. So what is the kind of service that you'll be able to render? It will be very difficult for you to render qualitative service. So at the local government level, the Nigerian workers has been battered, the Nigerian workers have been subjugated, and they have been made to face severe hardship. So we welcome local government autonomy, but the local government chairmen, they must be responsive.
Of course. What do you think are some of the challenges that are hindering achieving this autonomy, and do you see TUC playing any role to achieve this?
Yes. The challenges as of today in achieving local government autonomy are majorly the governors. Because when the Supreme Court judgment came, most of the governors, they weren't happy. I can say, for example, the governor of Oyo, you could see him literally, others were they were not happy, but they were packaging themselves because the money that will be available to them to spend has reduced. You could see a state like Anambra, Soludo, sending bills to the state assemblies on how they could cleverly find a way to undo what the Supreme Court has passed. So the governors are really the major impediment to having local government autonomy. If you remember, in the 6th Assembly, 7th Assembly, 8th Assembly, 9th Assembly, they've actually passed bills to amend the Constitution to strengthen the local government. But such bill will pass Senate and House of Reps. Because it's a constitutional amendment bill, it needs the 2/3 concurrence it needs 24 states to actually support the bill. 24 out of 36, that's the 2/3. When it gets to those states, in most cases, the bill is killed because the governors doesn't want it. So it's a fundamental problem, and everybody must look at it. We must approach governance not as personal and not as personal enterprise, not from selfish perspective. We must approach governance from a nationalistic outlook and a nationalistic view. Some of the governors that we have engaged, we have told them, at best, you have 8 years to be here. If you don't do what is right, after 8 years, you start lamenting. You may have listened to some governors who were governors who left in 2007, who left in 2011, 2015, 2019. They are lamenting like you and I today. But they had the opportunity to do what was right as at then. They refused to do it. But today they are lamenting. The state of insecurity affects everybody. Even if you go with 50 soldiers and 20 mobile police, you are still insecure. So we must learn to do right when we find ourselves in any position. So for us in TUC, we will continuously mount the rostrum, we will continuously do public advocacy, and we will continuously partner with the civil societies to ensure that what is right is done.
It's done, of course, advocacy. So the next thing I want to address is something that's been a hot topic recently, and is the state of infrastructure in the country. How does the current state of infrastructure affect productivity and well-being of Nigerian workers?
Yes, it affects greatly. Take, for example, power. So you are working in an office, you are a civil servant, right? You are working in an office and you get to your office, there is no light. How are you going to work? And if it's even a department that has tried to embrace technology, so you have a computer system, so you have softwares that you needed to work on, you are there, you cannot function and you cannot work. So that is, if you go to a pure civil service, and any day there is no light, you see people outside, you can't even stay in your offices because everywhere is dark. And at times, they don't even have good generating set to be able to give them power. So this is just one example. So infrastructure is key. I just told you now that in some local governments, there is no road to even access your place of work. Teachers, you don't even, at times when it rains, you can't even walk through the road because the entire road is flooded. You can't even go to work. So infrastructure is directly proportional to the performance level of an employee. So in Nigeria, yes, someone told me, oh, see the amount of money that was voted to infrastructure in the 2025 budget. I said no, that beyond that, one, it is not about the federal government alone. It is more about the state as well, because the states, they get sizable proportion of the national cake. The federation account, they come to Abuja every month and disperse the FAC allocation. So this must be put into productive use. There must be synergy between the state, local, and the federal government in the case, in development. So today, our state of infrastructure is not the best. When you are traveling from one state to another, at times you could spend on the road, maybe a 50-kilometer road. At times, if you are lucky, you could spend 2-3 hours. A road naturally that you shouldn't spend more than 30 minutes. So that is the state of our infrastructure today. And we are not also excited, I said it earlier, that the size of our budget is literally this small. That if you take the entire 2025 budget and use to develop our road, we'll still need 4 times that to be able to fix the federal roads in Nigeria. So what that means is that government must partner swiftly with the private sector. That is the key. You must create the enabling environment, and you must partner with the private sector. You see what is happening in Abia today in terms of the power generation and distribution and transmission and all that. It was powered by the private sector, the former Minister of Power, Batunaji's company and all that. So we must, do everything possible as a country to create the necessary environment that is going to attract the private sector to come. You could look at them from different level of infrastructure to transportation to just imagine if there is no water. If there's no water, you can't even go to work because you need to bath before going to work. So state of your water distribution, your state of road. In some places they look at railway. Your power. Power is key in Nigeria. So generally, the infrastructure, the provision of infrastructure, enables good work environment. So where infrastructure is absent, it impacts on the workforce. So government could partner with the private sector in order to grow our state of infrastructure, because using what is provided in the budget, we can't really do much more as a country.
Yes. All right, so recently you led the TUC delegation to the Port Harcourt refinery. What are your thoughts on the recent rehabilitation, and how critical is the maintenance of the refinery to Nigerian self-sufficiency in petroleum products?
Yes, the old Port Harcourt refinery was actually built in 1975. It's about 60,000 barrels per day capacity refinery, because it was upgraded in the 70s to that capacity. So for a while, that refinery has not been functional. It's literally been moribund. And when the rehabilitation started a while ago, and we were monitoring, because as Pengasan and Nupeng, we have our members working in the refinery, doing supervisory work to ensure that the refinery comes on stream. So when the news broke out that the refinery has started working, so we contacted our branches, the branch leaders in the refinery. They actually confirmed to us. But we now had a few days later that it stopped working. So we wanted to go for a fact-finding mission to actually see the state of the refinery. And also, myself and the president of Nupeng, we've been particularly interested in the refinery coming up. Because since 2020, we forced them to include us in the steering committee of the refinery. Steering committee is the high-level committee where they take some critical decisions. So our being in that steering committee, being members of that steering committee, has actually assisted Nigerians. In fact, has led to one of the successes that we are celebrating today, because we ensured that the right thing was done. We ensured that the money that was borrowed to maintain the refinery was never released to government, was never released to CBN, was never released to anyone, but kept in an escrow account that you can only access that money based on the work done. So it's like you are building a house. The cost of building a house, they may tell you, is 100 million. Okay, you give them 20%. Then you come, you assess. Is 20% job done? If it's 20% job done, you give them another 15 or 20%. So that was how we ensured that the refinery is functioning today. But when we got there, we went around the facilities. We went to the control room. We tried to see what is happening over there. And with some level of experience we've also garnered in the oil and gas industry, we saw from the control room that the refinery was actually functioning. We could see from the parameter display on the console, we could see that, there were interplays of these various parameters, temperature, pressure, and all that, volume, rates, and all. Then after that, we now took a tour around the facilities, and we saw to our conviction that the refinery was firing, the flare was on. We saw the process of the crude oil production, the crude oil refining from the CDU, which is the crude distillating column, how it passes it to the various process lines. And we also saw that the compressors, the heat exchangers, the turbines, they were relatively new. The lines, they were all fitted. So all these, the process, they all came together, and we could confirm that they were producing straight-run gasoline, they were producing diesel, and they were producing kerosene, because the old Port Harcourt refinery was not meant to produce ATK, which is aviation fuel. So they were producing all these. But that straight-run gasoline, you don't put it into your car. If you fill into your car, you're going to knock your engine. But those days, when you were having those heavy internal combustion engines, you could use it. But because the octane number is very, very low. But today, that straight-run gasoline still needed further work. That is what the public now tell, it is blending. But I also said, don't blame Nigerians, because Nigerians have been deceived for so long. So when you tell us anything, we have to double check to be sure that it's actually true. In fact, when you tell us good morning, we need to check our watch to be sure that it's actually morning, that it's not noon or evening. So that is the state that we are today as a country. So when we went there, going around the entire facilities, we could ascertain that the refinery refinery, the old refinery was working. We also went to the new Port Harcourt refinery that is still being fixed. So we spoke with the contractors, we went around the facilities, we saw some level of work that was going on. The contractor told us that it was about 90% completion, and we also offer our ideas and initiatives on how it could also be fast-tracked so that Nigerians could bear the benefit. But beyond that as well, Pengasan, an affiliate of Trade Union Congress of Nigeria, we have been advocating that after fixing the refinery, that you should bring about the NLNG model in running the... We have been advocating this for the last 15 years or more. In NLNG, what is the NLNG model that we'll be talking about? In NLNG today, ENI, the parent company of AGIP, Total Energies, and Shell, combined, they have 51% of the ownership of NLNG. Why Nigerian government have 49%? What that means is that it is these IOCs that take controlling decisions. So government is there to guarantee gas availability to its citizens. So they have 49%, but the houses have 59%. So that is the model that both Pengasan and Nupeng over the years have recommended, that when you fix the refineries, bring in the IOCs, bring in this expertise into the operation of the refinery by letting 51% stake off to these IOCs, the government, you keep 49% because you need energy security. So that when that is done, we will know that these IOCs, they have the requisite, not just expertise, but they have the requisite financing to ensure that the refinery is a going concern, to ensure that what befell us as a country some years back will never resurface. So that has been our advocacy and that has been our push.
Thank you for joining us in this series with the TUC President. But before we say goodbye, let us reveal the answer to our trivia question for the week. Don't forget to follow us on all our social media handles displayed on your screen for more updates and information. Until next week, thank you for tuning in. My name is Ave Michael. God bless Nigerian workers.